Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. I recently had a pretty cool experience where I was able to go take photos for one of my all-time favorite bands. That band is Yellowcard. I don't know if you're familiar with Yellowcard. They're kind of a pop-punk band they're really big in the mid-2000s. They're a band that I grew up listening to when I was in high school and junior high and whatnot. And I recently had the opportunity to go shoot photos for one of their concerts when they stopped by here in Salt Lake City not too long ago. It's a pretty neat experience. I never thought in a million years I would have the opportunity to do something like that, but I did, and it was super cool. So I just kind of wanted to share what that experience was like and, show some of the photos that I got, because I'm pretty proud of them. I think they turned out pretty cool. I've done concert photography here and there. I've shot a music video before, and I've done some projects for bands and stuff, and it's something that I really love, but I've never done anything on this scale before. I've never done anything with a band this big. The only work I've ever done have been for local groups. And so this was cool. They were playing at, well, it used to be called USANA Amphitheater. It's now called Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, I believe it is. It's just here in Salt Lake City. It's a pretty big venue. They were here on tour with Third Eye Blind. It technically was kind of a co-headliner tour, but Yellowcard was opening up for them. Anyways, I saw a thing online that said that they were looking for photographers for their show. And I got on, I sent my portfolio and everything in, and they ended up reaching out to me just a few days before the concert and asking if I was interested in coming and shooting photos for the show. And I of course said yes, and so I got to go shoot photos for their VIP pre-show concert that they were doing for their VIP group, and I got to go backstage. I got to kind of interact with the band a little bit, and then I got to get a full photo pass for the entire concert, which was super awesome. Kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and the fact that it's one of my favorite bands made it all that much cooler. So like I mentioned, they reached out to me just a few days before the concert, and I had a little bit of a back and forth on email with their marketing team, just trying to figure out what they want as far as, what their needs are as far as social media content and photos and everything goes. And they expressed that they wanted me to do not only just a bunch of photo work, but also video work as well. So trying to get video clips for their social media, trying to get, horizontal clips and vertical clips, things for Instagram, TikTok, things like that, mixed in with all the photos. And then I was going to be following their VIP group. So I was going to go in and attend their little pre-show VIP concert that they're doing for their VIP group, and then having the chance to go backstage for a part of their concert, and then also having the full pass to do the actual full, shoot the entire venue during the full concert, which was super cool. So on the day of the show, I showed up, got there pretty early. I got there about the same time as the actual Live Nation employees were getting there, so I was at the venue way before the show even started, which is kind of cool to see what goes on before these big concerts. I've never been there that early, so it's kind of cool to see the setup and see everything come together to make one of these big shows work. I also got to see all the other bands do their sound check as well, which was pretty cool to see. But anyways, showed up to the venue, got all my passes. They gave me a little VIP pass, just to show that I was following this group around. And then I also got a little video pass, a little Yellowcard photo video full, venue pass to wear, just so security wouldn't give me any problems while I was, going around the venue and stuff. Now, I thought there was going to be more photographers than just me, but there ended up being only other one guy. I met this guy named Austin, super cool dude, and it was just him and I for the entire show. And besides Yellowcard's tour photographer that they have that follows them around, which he was a great guy too. We didn't get to interact with him as much as I would have liked, but he seemed like a cool dude. But I got to just hang out with Austin for majority of the show. Anyways, we're hanging out. The band shows up, and they start doing their set. Now this was super cool, not only because I love, obviously, just taking photos and taking videos and stuff, but it was so cool to be able to get the VIP experience myself and to see my favorite band from when I was a kid play these songs acoustically. It was just such a cool experience, such a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I'll never forget it. It was super cool. It was awesome to see the band interact with, the small VIP group, it was cool to see that they genuinely just seemed like a really good, nice group of guys, and it was just awesome to see. You know, these guys were my childhood heroes to a point. You know, I learned how to play guitar to a lot of these songs that these guys wrote and stuff, you know, when I was a kid. And so it was just cool to see. It was kind of a cool experience to be able to kind of take this thing from when I was a kid and then mash it with, you know, what I do now for a career as an adult. And I don't know, it was just super cool. It was awesome. And I'll never forget, you know, this entire experience. So after the VIP session, we had a couple hours to kill before Yellowcard actually came on stage. So Austin and I just hung out, just sat in the shade for a couple hours. It was just too hot really to go do anything. We started walking around, just kind of, you know, getting an idea of the venue and stuff. But it was so hot and we just needed water. So we got some water and just sat in the shade for a couple hours. And then once the opening band started, we did go sit and watch their set. They were super fun. I've always wanted to see Arizona live, so it was cool to see them. So as far as camera gear that I brought to this, I brought my Canon R6mk2, which is my go-to digital camera, and then I paired it with a 24-70 lens. I figured that would just be a pretty good range, get some good wide-angle stuff, and then get a little bit tighter with that 70mm. And then I also had my 17-35 Tamron lens with it as well, just to try to get some wider angle stuff. I love wide-angle photography, it's just one of my favorite things, and so I was really hoping to try to get some good wide-angle perspectives of whether it's the crowd or, you know, trying to get up close to the band and stuff and trying to get some, like, almost, not fisheye, but just really wide-angle kind of cool perspectives. But then I also brought my 35mm film camera, my little Pentax MX, and then I had a roll of Kodak Gold 200 in there. It was left over from a previous shoot, and so I was trying to just finish off the roll, but I did want to bring this film camera just to kind of get, you know, maybe some cool shots on film while I was here. It's not very often that you get to walk around a venue like that with a bunch of camera gear, so I tried to make the most of it as I could. So it finally came time for Yellowcard's set to begin, so we followed the VIP group to backstage, where we got to see some of the band members warming up. Their violin player was back there practicing scales and stuff and kind of getting warmed up, and then the rest of the band was out back there as well. Just kind of cool to see that. We didn't interact with them really while they were back there, but it was kind of cool just to see, you know, their warm-up process and stuff. I've never seen that in person before, so it was kind of cool to see. And then we got to see their first 3 songs standing backstage. So unfortunately, we weren't the main photographers, so we didn't have full access to everything like their touring photographer does, which is a little bit of a bummer, but they don't know who we are, and so like we're strangers to them, so obviously it just makes a little bit more sense to not give us full access to literally everything, you know, like they give to their main photographer. But it was so cool to watch the show from backstage for a little bit. I've never done that before. I've been to that concert venue a bunch of times, and I've seen so many shows from there, and so it was really cool to be able to actually be up on stage and seeing the concert from a different perspective. It was super cool. Some of the photos I got were fine as well. Unfortunately, we weren't really able to move very much, and so I was a little annoyed they didn't really give us much access to the stage. We kind of had this little box that we were able to stand in, and that was kind of it, like this little like 3x3 little zone. And so I wasn't really able to get a lot of different perspectives while being up on the stage, which I was kind of bummed about, but some of the photos still turned out pretty cool. I'll put them up on the screen right now so you can see, but there were not as many perspectives as I was hoping to be. So in previous shows that I shot before with smaller bands, you know, you can have almost as much access as you want. You know, I've shot right up in guys' faces basically and trying to get some really cool close-up stuff, but that's not the case with this one. You know, obviously they're a bigger band, so it's a little bit different, but still cool nonetheless. So after the first 3 songs ended, we left the backstage area, went around front, and had access to the rest of the venue. So we got to go inside the photo pit and then go to any other access point within the amphitheater. So like I mentioned, we had a little photo, you know, video pass that gave us access to everywhere, and it was super cool. It was neat to just kind of walk around and you know, figure out different perspectives and try to figure out different shots and stuff. Yeah, especially going into the photo pit, you know, you're in front of the front row. and right there underneath the band playing, which is super cool. I did realize once I got to this point that I made a mistake though. I mentioned that I brought a 24-70 lens, which was great. It's a great lens. I love that lens. It's very, very good for video. I love it for video work. It's very stable, has really good stabilization inside the lens and stuff, so it's really good for handheld video work. And I wish that I had brought a 70-200 instead. I almost never used anything under 70 the entire time that I was shooting. And like I mentioned, all of my experience in shooting concerts before has been with smaller bands. And so, you know, I'm able to get up close and I don't need 200 mil, you know, 200 mil lens to be able to get close to people. But this is a much bigger venue and you're not able to get as close to the band. So I really, really regret not bringing a 70-200. I thought that I would be able to get away with it, and I just wasn't. I got good shots and I'm really happy with the photos that I was able to get, but I really, really wish that I had more than 70 mil because I could have got some cool stuff. Austin got some great stuff. He had a longer lens, and I missed out by not doing that. Missed opportunity, but you know, lesson learned. If you're ever shooting a concert at a bigger venue like this, make sure you bring a 70-200. And maybe that's obvious. I thought I was being smart with kind of getting something that's a little bit more mid-range, but definitely wish I had more of a telephoto lens for this project. So one downside to shooting at USANA Amphitheater is if you're not shooting after the sun goes down, it's just so dang bright the entire time because the amphitheater faces west, and up until the sun goes behind the hill, it is unbelievably bright, and it's really, really difficult to shoot and get anything with any kind of unique or cool lighting. It's just, you know, the band is just being blasted by sunlight. And so as far as like lighting goes and any kind of creative shots or anything, I wasn't able to get anything that was super cool or super unique or anything, but I think the shots turned out nonetheless. The film shots that I shot of the band, they turned out cool. You know, they ended up being really cool shots, but they just were so gold. And I really wasn't able to do much color correction to take them out of that. And a lot of that is just the film stock. You know, I shot it on Kodak Gold, so they are going to turn out much more warm like that. But then also with that added light from the sun, it just made it, I mean, it's just like a shining little piece of gold. And you know, they kind of look, I don't know if they look funny. I think they look cool, but the coloring is very, very warm. There's really no way to cool it down without it starting to look a little bit weird, at least from what I found. Maybe there is a way to do that, but I wasn't able to get it to look good without, you know, by turning down the temperature or anything like that on them. But I still like the shots. I think they turned out pretty cool. So once the show ended, I was pretty much done. I wasn't going to really stay for Third Eye Blind very much. I did get some photos just from the top of the venue looking down while Third Eye Blind was playing, which was cool, but I don't know Third Eye Blind as well as some people do. I know a lot of their hits. You know, they've had a lot of stuff on the radio over the years, and so I know a lot of their hits, but I just don't know them as well. And I was also exhausted. I had been there at that point for probably 6 hours, and I had just been baking in the sun all day, so I was exhausted. I was also just by myself. At that point, Austin had left, you know, immediately after the Yellowcard show had ended, and so I wasn't gonna hang around by myself for the next few hours. But either way, it was a super cool experience. Super grateful that the Yellowcard team reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to go shoot, because that was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. And it just makes me kind of think about how grateful I am to be able to do photography as a job, and how grateful I am that I decided to make the career change into photography when I did. I've never really talked about this on the channel, but I moved out of doing human resources into doing photography. And I had been doing human resources work, didn't really like it, thought it was boring, and I was like, I need to find something different. Ended up finding photography. Now this is what I do for a career. And I'm really, really glad that I did that, because photography has given me a lot of really cool opportunities that I've never had from anything else before, including this opportunity to shoot for one of my all-time favorite bands. And I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity like that again. So, but I'm really, really glad that I did. I'm really, really grateful. I love how all the photos turned out. One of the coolest projects I've ever had the chance to work on in my life. And now I get to have photos of my favorite band on my portfolio, which is super cool. You know, it's just super cool, and I've just kind of been fanboying about it ever since. Anyways, let me know what you think about the photos you saw in this video, and stay tuned for more videos to come, hopefully soon. I've got a couple new cameras that I've picked up over the last month and a half, 2 months or so, and so I'm hoping to be able to do some videos with those. You know, I picked up a cool little retro Polaroid camera, a little point-and-shoot film camera, my medium format RB67. So I've got a few different cameras that I'm hoping to do videos with in the future, and you know, be able to create some cool images with. So stay tuned for those. In the meantime, I hope you have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.